I finally upgraded my GoPro to a GoPro 10, mainly because my GoPro was a few years old, and the GoPro 10 has some video settings at higher frame rates, at slow motion frame rates, that I think are gonna come in really, really useful. So I wanted to make this video to show you a quick unboxing of the bundle pack that I have, and I'll show you everything that comes with it. And then I also wanna show you how to quickly set up your GoPro for cinematic footage. So if you're new to using a GoPro, this should walk you through it. And if you're a filmmaker trying to see if a GoPro makes sense for you, this should also walk you through it. And if you already have one, then this is gonna walk you through that as well. If you wanna learn more about the difference between the GoPro 10 and the previous GoPro, I'm not the best guy for that because my GoPro is a few years old. So I'll put a link to DC Rainmaker's video. He walks you through all the technical things that are going on with the new GoPro 10 Hero Black. And I'll show you some of my favorite accessories with the GoPro. I've been using GoPro for my video production work for many, many years, all kinds of different versions. So I'll show you some of my favorite accessories that are gonna go with the Hero 10. Some are new and some I've been using for a long time. And if you get this bundle package, and I have a link to this as well as a lot of the accessories in the description below this video as we talk about them. But the bundle package comes with a little bit of extra. So it comes with this mount here, a couple of different mounts, and it comes with a special battery. And the version I got actually came with an SD card, but it's only a 32 gig SD card. And I think you could get a 128 gig version of the same card for only $20. So I'm not gonna use this one, it's too small for the type of resolution that I shoot. But it also comes with this nice bag here. So let me go ahead and open it up to show you what's included here. And if you open it up here, you could just carry it around in this bag depending on what kind of accessories you get with it. So I like that because before I had to buy other bags and cases, so you don't have to do that. In this case, everything is nice and organized. So this bundle pack, it looks like it comes with this clip-on accessory, which looks like it's going to be really useful. I do have another grip mount though that I might have to test out. Then this comes with an additional battery. So by default, you do get one battery. This comes with another one. And I have some older batteries as well. I think from 8 and 9, GoPro 8 and 9 have the same batteries as this one. So I'm not sure if my older one is going to work. Here is the GoPro itself. I'll open this in a second. Let's see what else we have. We have a couple more mounts here. Just take all these out. That's the stand. There's a charging cable here. And my previous version of GoPro felt a little bit smaller than this GoPro. This is the same size as the 9 though, because I've used the 9 on different projects and this looks like the same size and weight. And this comes with this quick start guide here. So typically you could get the app. I'll do that in a second, but I'm gonna install the battery and the memory card. And to install a battery on a GoPro, it's on this side and you just have to open this with your fingernails and open it up. I was never a fan of how these doors open, but this is where your battery goes right here and your memory card, it's a mini SD card, goes right over here. So the one that came with my bundle here, like this one, I could use for that. But I'm gonna use, again, a bigger 128 gigabyte card is typically what I use for these. And then this is your USB-C charging port here. So when you have it open, you could transfer files using the cable, which is just this cable here that you could connect to your phone if you have an Android, or you could use the lightning cable here to connect it to that if you have an iPhone. So let's go ahead and insert one of the batteries that came with it. Typically they are charged a little bit, but we'll see if it's charged enough for it to work. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and charge it up and record that section. And then we'll put in our SD card. And it looks like I have an older 64 gig card here that I'll put right into there. And just press with your fingernails and just make sure it's flush so it's in there now. And then I could go ahead and close this door. There we go. Now it's basically ready to get turned on. So I could go ahead and take off these plastic covers. And it does say the camera needs to be updated. So that's the next step after you open it up, insert the battery and the card we need to update. So let's go ahead and turn on the camera. So on this side of the camera, that's the power button. Just press and hold it and that will turn on the camera for us. Let's pick our language here. That's the first page. Agree to this page. Tag your footage with location, yes. And it says you must get the GoPro app here to do the update. So let's go ahead and take out our phone and update our GoPro here. And the app is called Quick. You could get it on iPhone and Android. And I already have it because I had GoPros before. Let me open it up. And you need to have actually Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled here. So I'm gonna press OK to give it access. And let's go ahead and press this GoPro icon on top because we need to connect to our GoPro. So this is my old one, so I don't need this one. I need to go ahead and set up a new GoPro. So I'm gonna press the plus sign on top. It's gonna search for my GoPro. Again, I need to make sure Bluetooth is turned on because that's how it's gonna find it to begin with. And then I need to press pair camera right here. So let's go ahead and press that, pair. And there it is, it found it and it paired it automatically with Bluetooth. So I could go ahead and rename it here, or I'm gonna go ahead and save the new name and press continue to install the update. So now this is gonna take a little bit of time, so it's gonna use Wi-Fi now. So I used Bluetooth at first, now it needs to create its own Wi-Fi connection. I'll press join, press continue to update, agree, and just let this finish up right here. The update is complete, so I'm gonna press continue here, and we're pretty much done with the app for now, but you can obviously use the app to wirelessly transfer things from here to here, and you could also use it to edit. And a very useful option is obviously you could enable preview here and use this as a monitor as well. So you could see if I pick up the GoPro, the phone app is gonna show you exactly what you see. So it's a great way to preview what's going on, and it works as your external monitor. Let me go ahead and charge the battery, then I'll show you exactly the best settings and why I upgraded to this so you could set yours up, and I'll show you some advanced options as well. And at the end of the video, we'll talk a little bit about accessories too, see if any of these are going to be useful for you. And to charge your GoPro, you just need one of these USB chargers, and the cable does come with it, but this doesn't come with it. This is from my iPad here. So you just need to connect this to the wall or a USB charger. This is a USB-C port, and it's again in that same port where we put our battery. So you just plug this in right to this port, and then I'm gonna go ahead and plug it into the wall. So make sure you do the same thing because these batteries don't come fully charged. They only come enough for you to update it, and even before that, I sometimes like to just fully charge it if I'm not in a rush. Okay, so I got enough of a charge here. I charged it for about 20 minutes, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you how the mounting system works here. It's on the bottom of your GoPro. It just extends out like this, so then you could grip it with anything you want. So I'll show you some of the accessories that came with it, just so I can mount it and show you some of the settings here a little bit closer. So this little tripod came with it where you could go ahead and open this up over here. And this one basically sits like this, so you could set the GoPro on top of it, and then you could unscrew this piece right here. And I'm going to put this into this slot. And then you could use one of these instead of the screw that I just took off. And these are just a little bit easier to screw on and off, so I could go ahead and put that here. Okay, so let me show you what you see on the screen and some of the settings that I want to recommend you use for this video. But on top here, this is your battery life. It's going to show you that over here. And then over here is your mode. Right now I'm on video mode. And over here is how much space you have on your card. So 2 hours and 36 minutes. But this does depend on the type of format that you choose. If you want to get out of video mode, I'm really going to focus on video mode for this video. But if you press the mode option right here, it's going to change it to photo. It's going to change it to time lapse, and back to video mode. So those are your major modes here. I almost always use video mode, and if I need a still image, I take it from video, and once in a while I'll use the time-lapse mode as well. Then over here you have your video format, how you're recording your video, and these four are just quick selection modes that you could change actually by pressing and holding each one. Let me just go ahead and press and hold on one here. And it lets you choose something else instead of what the default version is. And there's a whole bunch of them that you could choose from to quickly jump into that menu, but you can't access any of them with the normal menu. Right now, let me show you the different formats for this. This option lets you change your formats, and then there is also quick options over here to choose from. But the main reason I wanted to change my GoPro is, let me just show you if I press the plus sign. So I'll go ahead and choose video mode here. I'll just press this and let me show you the different settings on the video mode. So if you choose resolution and frame rate, which is this option right here, you could choose a bunch of different resolutions. So you have 1080 all the way to 5.3K. In most cases, I'll choose 4K. But now with 4K, I could shoot all the way to 120 frames per second, 60 frames, I have the regular 30 and 24. But 4K at 120 frames is very, very useful. If the frame rate at that resolution is not available, like 240, it's going to be in gray. And then if you select it, it's going to change the resolution. So if you want to shoot 240 frames, you do have to shoot at 2.7K and at 1080. So those are your options. But at 4K, it does gray out. And at 5.3K, even the 120 frame grays out. But now I could shoot at 5K at 60 frames per second. This is huge. And I'm going to use this one all the time. Standard default for most shoots, I will shoot at 4K at 120 frames. The best option I think that you have for this if you want to shoot slow-mo. And a lot of times I do shoot 4K at 24 frames. That's my default with most of my cameras that I use, so I'll stay there. You could also crop to 4:3 if you want more of a square shape, but I do almost never use those. I use this 16:9 regular size video. Again, 4K at 24 frames for cinematic looking footage. 24 is obviously what movies are shot in, so I use that. And if I want to shoot slow-mo, typically I'll choose 120. That gets me the most interesting looking slow motion. In some few cases, I'll shoot 240 frames for things that are water related, for example. So I'm happy with 4K at 24. Let me go back to this previous page here. And the other setting that's useful is the lens selection, because by default, you're gonna get the wide lens, but you could go to super view. So look at how small my hand is, this close to the camera. You could go to the standard, let me see this one, linear view. That's just the most standard version of the lens, and you could get your lens millimeter size here. If you know more about that, you have your narrow lens, which is kind of zoomed in. And you also have this one that corrects for the horizon. If you're doing things where the horizon is gonna change, it's gonna try to correct for that. In most cases, I stay on wide, and in some cases, I'll use super wide. That's the most useful setting here for most things that use a GoPro for. So I'll stay on wide here, but I wanted to show you that setting. And then the last thing I typically change here is hyper smooth. And you can change it to this boost mode, which is gonna make it really super hyper smooth. The high mode is fine for the most part, but usually never turn it off. Make sure that's set here. And then some pro options. Let me go down here to show you some of the pro options over here. You can change, if you know more about cinematic footage, change some of these that are there by default. Like you could change your white balance if you know you're gonna shoot outdoors. You could change it to outdoor modes, and you could change it to indoor modes if you understand what Kelvin temperatures are. But in most cases, the auto mode is perfectly fine. So I would recommend you use that for any situations. I'll make a more advanced guide on that later. Your color here too, you could go ahead and change the color. There is a flat color that requires stuff in editing, if you know more about editing that in post. And vibrant if you just want a very vibrant look. But neutral or natural is typically what I go with here as the default option. Okay, let me go ahead and press the check mark. And I'm gonna set that as a mode. I'll leave it on custom. I'll press the check mark. Now, if you go over here, you could see this is the new one I created. But the other ones are also available, and you could press the pencil icon anytime to edit any of those and quickly jump between any version of them. By default, GoPro has it on 4K at 30 frames, but I usually shoot at 24 frames for any cinematic video anyway to match the look of film. So that's what I have here. And these quick modes are useful. This is your lens selection. So if you wanted to quickly change your lens, you could just do it from this menu as well. Then you also have this option, which lets you shoot things in slow-mo. So if I go to 2x, that's double the 30 frames, and this is 120 frames, 4 times the 30 frames. So I could go ahead and change the recording speed there. This is that smooth motion here that's set to high, but you could set it to boost for even smoother motion. And the zoom is just a digital zoom that you could apply here, but I recommend you change the lens if you want to change your framing over here. And to press record, it's right on top here. You could just go ahead and press it and it will start recording video. It's gonna show you up there, and you could use the app to preview what you're recording over there. Again, if you wanted to change it to photo mode, press mode on the side here. It's gonna change it to photo, and then you have time lapse. And I'll make a dedicated video about time lapse because there are some different time lapse options. Time lapse, the standard one, is the default, and I use that most often. But if you're driving or you're doing action sports, you may want to look at time warp. But I'll make a separate video about time lapse on the GoPro. But in most cases, I set this to 4K at 24 frames on a wide angle lens. But remember, if you prefer 30 and you want it to be a little more smooth than cinematic, then 30 is your bet. And if you want to shoot slow-mo, again, you have up to 120 frames per second at 4K resolution. And the last thing I'll show you is just related to a couple of accessory pieces that I recommend. Again, I'll put some of them in the description so you could just look at them and see if they're the best bet. Those are the best ones I've found that I've used over the years. And the first thing I always recommend with any GoPro is just buying another battery. So the pack I bought came with two, the one that's in here and this one, but it doesn't come with a charger. You do have to put these in the GoPro and charge it with the body, which is kind of one of my least favorite things about any GoPro. Here's like an older one. So what I did for some of these older ones is I bought these type of chargers where you could put two batteries, and then you don't need the actual GoPro. So I always recommend, if you're using this for professional reasons, to get 3 batteries. So 2 are always charging, 1 is in the camera. I do this with pretty much any camera I own. And then this could always be on charge. You could come and take one out. But the new batteries actually are not compatible, so they do change the size of these all the time. I think the last couple of GoPros though do use this size of battery. This charger I have is not going to work, so I do recommend you buy extra battery and you buy a dual charger or even a single charger that doesn't require the GoPro. Then I do recommend you buy more SD cards. Again, I'll put a link to a 128 gigabyte card that I think is more usable than a smaller 32 gig cards. Kind of depends on your workflow and what you're going to shoot. Then this magnetic one I think is going to come in handy. I've never actually used this one, but it comes with the pack. So I'm going to use this magnetic surface, and then again, you could just go ahead and mount the GoPro with some of the accessories that came with it. So you would just put this in here instead, and then go ahead and slide this into here. I'll just take this off, slide this into here, and use this magnetic clip. That could come in handy. But my favorite probably accessory of all time with GoPro is this thing. This one I've had, I think since GoPro 5 I bought it with that, but you could clip it onto anything. The GoPro version is better than anything I've tested out. And again, the accessories for mounting a GoPro have not changed. So even though this is something I bought for the GoPro 5 to mount it onto here, this has the exact same mount as an old GoPro. So you could go ahead and use this, and it should be very, very useful. This one I really like because it's just so rugged, and it does rotate any which way you want. So this one I like. This tripod, I'm not sure. I just got it with this pack, so I haven't used it before, but it looks pretty sturdy. But there are cheaper tripods than I think what the GoPro version of this is. And I've tested a bunch of these type of sticks here. So these kind of selfie sticks. And they're okay for some situations where you need to extend out the GoPro, but I prefer to mount the GoPro, so I almost never use these type of sticks, but I do like this one I actually had for a long time. And from time to time, I will use it to kind of stick this out a little bit further than what a mount could give me, especially if I can't reach a certain place. And if you're doing things where you need to strap this to your chest or something like this, these chest straps are really, really useful. And if you're doing anything related to water, I do recommend these type of things. And these help your GoPro kind of float. They do have some that are like this with the GoPro mount too that you could just put on there, so your GoPro doesn't sink if you accidentally drop it in water. And since this GoPro came with a case, I don't need to buy another case. I'm just gonna empty this out and put things into it. But on my previous GoPros, I did have a much bigger case with like a ton of different accessories in it. So if you need more accessories, you could just pick up a case that is a little bit bigger than the one if you buy the bundle pack. I'll follow this up with a time-lapse video dedicated to how to use this for time-lapse, and I'll make one on how to get cinematic footage. Again, related to more of that ProTunes setting on using different flat colors and grading them in the post-production process. as well as explaining more about the different frame rates and resolution. But I hope you found this video useful. Again, everything is linked below for more resources for you. Please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.